Speaking of the fandom, there's a moment that I always love from our tenure at ILM is we're working on the section of the Queen's ship that R2 repairs.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that large section?
The big set, yeah.
And you and I were doing all the internal detailing inside the open port. And we went over to meet with Michael Lynch, who was our supervisor. And he's like, yeah, here's the space you guys can put your thing. And you and I were like, oh, but in the script, it says he bypassed the power couplers. So maybe we should lift one out. And you and I were coming up with this whole plan. And Michael's like, whoa, stop talking. That's the kind of thing that you and Don care about.
Bunch of nerds.
You do what you want. I'll just put it where I said.
Occasionally you get that like dose of realism. Is like
exactly.
I guess it is. But I always tell people because I actually operated the thing. So I was the one that bypassed the power coupler.
You bypassed the power coupler.
So it wasn't R2,
Hey, everybody. Adam Savage in my cave alongside former ILM colleague, ILM archivist, and friend of mine, Don Bies. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me again.
Dude, it's so much fun to talk about our history as model makers. We come from totally different backgrounds, but, you know, we spend a decade or more working together over there. Today, we're going to talk about a couple of things you built for not necessarily for the films, but for the film's histories.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So in 97, I think it was, Dorling Kindersley, who had done a lot of cross-section books and stuff like that, got the contract to do some Star Wars books. And David West Reynolds, who is an author and amazing, imaginative guy, was commissioned to write them. And so he had to come up with explanations for everything. And
like doing cutaways and tell you what parts were inside were actually.
Yeah, and also just like, you know, if you know what the stuff on Boba Fett is, things like that. So the first one that we did was the Star Wars Visual Dictionary. Actually, it's this one right here. So he came up with what he wanted us to make. He contacted me. And
so I didn't realize that there were actually constructions done just for this book.
Yeah. So there was the lightsaber, which is what I did.
Oh my God. I pored over this for hours. The Dorling Kindersley books were always so physical.
Yeah.
Very tactile in their photography.
Even the non-Star Wars ones.
Exactly. Exactly. So this was such a godsend to us from a collecting standpoint. Oh
gosh. And he found stuff, you know, and then he called it different things.
It's an air escape valve.
C-3PO, what they did here, so we had just built the C-3PO without the cladding for episode 1.
Right.
And so what they did is they...
Oh, right, 97. You're in the... Yeah.
Right. So we had just finished it. So they took a photograph of its leg and photoshopped it onto Anthony Daniels, the C-3PO. And then where's the Stormtrooper? There's the Stormtrooper because they cut away. Yeah. So Nelson Hall actually built that one.
Was he given any drawings of what that might look like? Or
okay. So at the time there was a licensed product they made little miniature helmets.
Okay.
And I think that had
some details
inside it, and that's what he based it on. And then talking with David, same thing with the lightsaber. David gave me a sketch of what the lightsaber should look like,
right.
And then I added some stuff to it. But yeah,
so you guys were working with like stuff that had already been approved. But these are beautiful little fans. Those must have come from something expensive.
Well, these are lens camera irises or something like that. And then this is like from a helmet, you know, inside of a helmet. But then there was laser cut pieces. I helped him laser cut some pieces, and then he, you know, painted it up. But then the other one was that we did. If I could find it, I should have earmarked all these pages. Yeah, this is actually David in the costume.
That's David West Reynolds dressed as Boba Fett.
Boba Fett, yeah, and somewhere, I know it's here. There it is. So this one, we Nelson and I recreated all the instruments. So
so none of them existed anymore?
No, they were long gone.
What a fun project!
And so I did the woodwind instruments, and then Nelson did these two, and then we have to shoot these. So we were able to. I contacted Doug Beswick.
Yeah.
And we got his mask and hands. We only had one set.
Yeah.
So that's me.
No, that's awesome.
That is Mark Buck.
Nice. Oh, that's great.
One of these is Fawn Davis. I can't remember which one. It might or that could be Mark, and that's fine. I can't remember.
Yeah.
We all look the same. And that's Nelson in it. And yeah, so we just took photographs. One of the ILM photographers took the photographs, Alex Ivanov. And and we just played, and that's a chauffeur's jacket that we just had the thing curled up. I think these were David's boots. So, but yeah, so we didn't really need 5 different people to play it.
But everyone gets a chance.
We all got involved. So yeah,
I visited Rick Baker at his shop about 10 years ago, and he had pulled out his original molds for these and run a set of castings and was painting a set for himself.
He's just on his Instagram. He's just recently restoring the hands.
Oh, amazing!
From it, because they're all torn up. Yeah. So Doug. Then I got when we did the Return of the Jedi special edition and the new musical number, I contacted Doug and I wore that mask for that shoot.
You have been in amazing.
Yeah. So, and then, so
anyway, but can we go back to this lightsaber?
Yeah.
Let's see here. So David presented you with a kind of a very rough idea about what might be inside the lightsaber.
He had a pretty decent sketch. There's always the infamous Kyber crystal that had to be there, and stuff like that. And then we're as you start dissecting it, and so figure there's some sort of power source. So this is the power cell, and how to make that, and the majority of it. Oh, I have it actually here, and
there's so much work done nowadays in the fandom of exposing the insides of lightsabers, but this is the first one.
This was the first one, yeah. So sadly, it's a little bit of a rough condition, but this is somewhere here. I've got the crystal.
Oh, Don. Oh, it's really, really pretty to see it like this.
Yeah, so that's the crystal. So, as you know, I had an affinity for laser cutting. So, so pretty much it's all laser cut.
Yep.
And then these, the brass pieces are turned. I just turned those on a lathe as I did this too.
Yeah.
And then the crystals, I went to a lapidary shop?
Yeah.
In Petaluma, California, and I found the crystal that thought I would work.
A little luminized tape in there?
Yeah. So this was, I took a piece of EMA tube.
Yep.
And because I thought I would be able to use the EMA tube, but it was too thick for an actual, what would have been metal.
Yeah.
So I vacuum formed over it.
Oh, gotcha. To get a little bit more size.
Yeah. So, and I had to put at least one
T-track
on it.
Right.
So that's again the Plastruct T-track.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then it might have been actually H-beam that I cut, one leg of it off.
Oh, sure. And I see you've got some Graflex parts here.
Yeah. So what I had was that's a casting from.
Oh, right. That's the little nubbin.
So I had, because I made. I'll pull this one out.
Neat.
Years ago, just as I was getting, coming to Lucasfilm and that, I met a fan, and he was it was well known, I think, still at that point.
Oh, so pretty
that they had that these were Graflex flash animals.
Right.
But it wasn't, I guess, that widely known, and he didn't want me to tell anybody. But anyway, he gave me the Graflex flash animal. It didn't have anything on it, so it was missing one of the buttons. And so that's what this was.
And that was the replacement for a while.
Yeah, and I believe that one was too. And then even though I worked at the archives and everything, I didn't realize all the variations of a lot of these things. Yeah. And so this was a few years ago. I finally finished this off more or less properly, and I can't remember which version.
Which
But I think it's the Empire Strikes Back one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I always liked that one. I didn't like the bubble rings in it. So so based on stuff that was at the archives, I believe I pulled this mold from one of the archive lightsabers.
That must honestly, first of all, you must have been pinching yourself to be able to like make what the inside looks like, but then also to be able to be in the archives and grabbing an original piece and making yourself a mold of it.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
Yeah, so obviously it worked for a while. But these are castings on there. And then what's the Graflex shop has all the
they make replicas now of all of these parts, and they're spectacular. They're like 1-to-1. They fit with the original camera pieces.
Yeah, they even redid the actual hand. Yeah, so this, I believe.
Oh right, here. Yeah, it's visible here.
Yeah, I took. There. I bought another one, so to put in there. But
that's the. May I pull it out?
Yeah, that's from the Graflex shop.
Oh, okay.
This one is. So the one that's photographed in there was mine.
Gotcha. So you pulled that one out of there.
Yeah, and I put it in this one, and then
that's the one.
A few years later, I bought that one. So this is an original one, and that's the.
It's amazing. Like again, like just to note the fervency, how fervent the fandom is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like it's the same thing with the watches now, that the replicas are just 1-to-1 with the originals.
Right.
Like these are all metal parts and they all fit.
Yeah, and they're very authentic. I mean, the Graflex, they do a great job.
There was a few of you that finished lightsabers. You were one. Howie Weed was one that actually went through the trouble to figure out and make the T-track and all that.
Yeah. Like I said, the T-track. I mean, that was always a big source of contention among the fans as to what that actually is.
Is it rubber from a windshield wiper?
It seems like it should be a rubber.
Yeah.
But if you actually were to hold this and fight with it, it would be incredibly uncomfortable. But,
did you handle any originals? And
they were all plastic.
They were all plastic. Yeah. They weren't soft.
No, they weren't soft.
Oh, okay.
But there's only one that was like this at the archives. Then there was a plastic version, like a vacuum.
A cast. Oh, okay.
A cast version. So many of the thing at the archives was there's so many of the stuff, particularly from the very first film and to another extent the Empire Strikes Back, they didn't make it over to the States, so they never.
So a lot of that stuff just was over there in England and stayed there.
Like Obi-Wan's lightsaber.
Gone.
Don't know where that is.
Wow.
So Luke's lightsaber, and interestingly, like land speeders and stuff like that, they made it over because they had to do pickup shots with it.
Right.
So they shipped that stuff over. But particularly for Star Wars, very little stuff showed up. Obi-Wan's costume, for instance, didn't exist in the archives.
It never came back?
No.
Wow.
I believe they found some of it years and years later. Brandon Alger probably could tell you a story about it. But but yeah, they did stuff just didn't come over. So a few more things came over for Empire, and then there's a lot of stuff for Jedi. One because they shot in the U.S.
Yeah.
But after by that point, Star Wars is a juggernaut, and so they were shipping things back. But.
When stuff is moving around the world, did you, in your position as archivist, ever oversee something that went missing, like stuff disappearing between one part of the world and coming back?
Oh yeah. Well, during episode 1, an R2 head.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because that whoever it was that stole that head offered it to me at one point. And I asked one question and they disappeared forever.
It kept popping up here and there.
Terrifying. I was so mad when I saw the picture of it because I recognized the head. Yeah. I knew which one it was.
I know where it is now.
Well, it tried to be auctioned a couple of times and Lucasfilm shut down 2 auctions.
Because every time it would pop up in an auction, someone would call me, say, "Is this authentic?" And I'd say, "Well, here's the story." And
it's got the full set of fiber optics.
I remember contacting Grant at one point because he had done so many before everything went to the UK for the prequels.
Yeah,
he had helped me with R2s and. He had particularly the heads. He was photographing stuff, so he had a photograph of that actual head.
Right.
And there's a whole story behind that head too, because when I was operating R2 for Lucasfilm, again prequels, we had an A unit and a B unit, and that was the head from the A unit. that
was an original Star Wars head.
it was it's certainly Empire Strikes Back,
Right.
Most likely Star Wars,
because it was all aluminum.
Yeah, and so I knew that head really well, and I knew the inside of that head really well, and so that's how I could tell what it was. But
you feel a sense of ownership and propriety and sort of anger. Of course.
Yeah. Well, especially because I know a bit of the backstory of how that disappeared over there.
Right.
I know who probably was responsible for making it disappear.
Yeah.
And it just was like sleazy. And
I specifically remember we were working on episode 2 on Topoka City, and a photograph from that model room leaked online.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember realizing, like, and we were taking photos of our work, but that's not where the leaks came from.
Right.
We were just doing that for posterity. But seeing a photo from a room I'd been in that morning upset me. It just felt like a violation.
There was a set I worked on. It was I think it was the announcer's booth from episode 1 of the Pod Race.
Yeah.
And we were making a 6-scale model of it or whatever. And we had, the artwork and that from that. And we were just working from that. And that artwork showed up on the force.net or so. That's the first time I heard about the force.net. It showed up on there, and I several of us got called in and said, you guys,
how did this get out?
How did this get out? It's like, I don't know. We weren't the only ones that had the artwork too. So I never know. But yes, it was violation. You totally felt violated.
It must be awesome to come as a fan, enter as an employee and archivist, and also contribute to the canon.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's a couple instances. Yeah, I think you've talked about this before. That like when you're at ILM, at least my experience was that you had to really hide your fandom. You couldn't.
It was a little more egalitarian when I got there about 10 years later.
Yeah, you couldn't geek out as much as you wanted to, like, ooh, and so I was always like, just like, oh yeah, Star Wars, and but inside, you're exploding, and so to be able to get stuff and make an impression on it and do that, and the one thing that I really insisted that I had to do was the helmet that goes onto the mask that goes onto Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So the original one was on location in an exhibition, so they were all ready to pull it and everything.
Wow.
But the thing is that it still wasn't detailed on the inside.
Right.
So so we would have still had to detail it. It's like, well, let's just make it a new one. But I had to recreate the outside detail, which was kind of a challenge. Anyway.
Because the Vader mask is famously non-symmetrical. There are different versions for different films. Yeah. When you put them next to each other, they all look quite unique.
And there's a very funny story on how it's supposed to split and everything. Anyway, so when they came up, I insisted on Brian Gernan was this project supervisor for Star Wars. And I insisted on Brian, I said, I got to do that mask. And the reason is because when I was working at the archives, they told me to clean out the archives and get rid of all these empty crates and everything like that. And there was a big crate that was there, and it had some paper and styrofoam stuff and different things in the bottom of it. And I was getting rid of crates, and I was breaking them down, and the Teamster guy would come and take them to the dump, and but there's this one crate, and I was like, I better look in the bottom of it just to be safe. And I dig through, and I pull out this flannel bag. It was this tan flannel bag, and inside of it was the mask that they pull off of Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi. And I almost threw it away. So I felt a kinship to this piece, and so it's like, so when it came the opportunity to recreate it, it's like, I got to do it.
100%. Don, thank you so much for bringing these amazing objects to talk about.
My
it's
pleasure.
Really thrilling.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. One of my favorite things we make in our tested store are demerit badges. These are like scout badges, but for screwing stuff up, because screwing up is not just a part of the making process, it is intrinsic to it, and we like to celebrate that. We've got 27 so far in the Supervisors bundle that you can go buy right now by clicking on the link in the description, but we also have a booster pack of some brand new patches. This is the demerit badge for burning off your eyebrow. I am proudly sewing that to all of my clothes. This is the demerit badge for having a messy workbench, which I do not get today. My workbench is super clean. And we have new octagonal patches that are, yep, merit badges. This is the merit badge for sweeping up your shop. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you. And this, oh my God, this is great. This is the merit badge for creating a clean space on your bench. Hey, we got to take our successes where they come and meet them there. Go to the tested-store.com or adamsavage.com to buy any of these, or click on a link in the description.